Hello, I'm live again. A little bit, yeah, mabushi, but it's okay. Let's talk like this. I want to talk today about Starlink. There is two sentences or three sentences that were said that were very interesting. But first, let's talk about Japan. In Japan, there's a document released by the government about immigration, and this is specifically the permanent residency. As expected, 30 years of work or payment has to be in your for your pension. Your household has to have higher than average money. That's around 6 million yen. So this was known and is now put in writing, but P1, B1, is same as N3 level of Japanese is also in there. That is new. This will apply, of course, when the rules with the backfire to 2026 October or something. So you have to learn Japanese. You have to have a pension that is valid. If you go here, you reach pension level, you have to have money to survive in Japan. You have to be able to talk Japanese, and you have to have an income that is reasonable as long if you work. So for pensioners, people that live here, you have to communicate. You be a part of the culture of Japan. That is the whole thing. There are a lot of people that have now a PR that don't have these abilities. I am also maybe one of them, but my Japanese I will study. I have I think 4 years to go to get the language test. The rest I think is okay. I think I will add probably my pension from the Netherlands to the pension here in Japan, and then it will be more than it will be a good pension, better than an average or even around a high pension here in Japan. So those are okay, and so I hope they keep it simple because it's not for the PR, but it is also for Japan is getting older and older, and people getting older and older, and you need to have tax money, and Japan is crazy for tax. And if there are no people working, even if there are robots, there is no money coming. And people, even if they don't need money and they will need robots, I don't think all the people will like robots to take care of them. They'll still need a human factor there. So they need foreigners. And those foreigners, of course, have to build out the population. Now, a lot of people say, we don't need it, but there will be an enormous implosion, or they forget, same as in Europe, that the most foreigners will have children. So if all foreigners would leave Japan, I will think that the birth rate is even lower than they think now. And that can cause a problem. Of course, you can say we can do it all with AI and robots, but then Japan will become a very empty country with people that only come here on vacation, and maybe some rich people that live here half the time of the year because you can only do 90 days 2 times. So for 180 days here, have a house. These houses have to be maintained. Maybe that will be a job for the local Japanese, or maybe for people that have a better, maybe that will be the job for foreigners here in Japan to take care of the rich people, no houses that do a half-year pension. So that is maybe an idea for other people that live maybe in Dubai. So, for example, people that go from Europe to Spain or to Dubai, they can live half the year in Dubai or in a place where it is Paraguay or something, and then during the winter or whatever, they come to Japan for half a year. They have a house here, and they go back. And houses are not so expensive. You can buy these the akar, what is it? These houses that are has to be renovated, and those vary about $15,000 to $30,000. So you have a small house at the beach. Now you can live there for half a year on a visa tour, tourism visa, and food and everything is here cheaper. So you live here half a year as a pensioner, and then you go back to Uruguay or somewhere else, and there you live in half a year, and you travel over and over to your to those two destinations. Or somebody somewhere here in Asia, you can stay half a year, but you can only stay half a year in Japan. And I think for Americans and maybe for rich Europeans that like Japan, I think this will be an option. Or maybe Australians will go here. But for the normal people that work here, and of course they say the Japanese don't like the Asian foreigners. There is something there, but I think they make a mistake. I think they still, I think if you have a marriage or whatever, the problem is they are afraid of the social money that goes to these foreigners, and how to try to avoid the social money to go into the foreigners. They are selecting they're making the rules for the immigration more difficult. But there's a very simple solution for it. You can say if you're not born in Japan or you don't live 30 years in Japan, you don't get social help, you don't get social money. Then they can keep the immigration law and everything the same. And the source of the problem is not immigration, is not what you hear about tourism. It is about the misuse of social money. And it is in reality only 0.3% more that foreigners use more the social system than Japanese themselves. And even the people that use it is only 1.9% and 1.3%, and the foreigners that use it on average is 1 point a little bit higher. So it is, you talk about nothing. But it is, of course, for Takashi, it is all the image that it has. The foreigners are bad, what extra. But the foreigners that are bad, probably 99% are not the people that have here they don't lay the permanent residency, but more often are the temporary workers or the foreigners that are on vacation. But the price that has to be paid is by the people that really want to live here and already live here a long time. Those will have more problems with it. And social systems, you can say, yeah, but the social system is made for you use that money from the country where you come from. But if you worked here for, let's say, you half your life, and you lived half a life in your own country, Japanese social has to talk, or with the pension has to work together, those two countries, and make a social plan here in Japan, so that the foreigner that worked half his life in his own country and half his life here if he chooses to live in Japan, that the social money goes to the social system goes to Japan. And for example, the Netherlands is a good for example. You can get your pension from the Netherlands to here. You can even use some of the years you have in the Netherlands to the pension, that they will not count, but only that they know that you paid in the pension in the Netherlands so many years. So can say, okay, you paid, so they expect that you get an amount of money from the Netherlands, so they can add it to the amount of money they will give, and then you see they can guess what is this total money this person gets when he goes with pension, and then you can, okay, this guy can live from it. And if I think you got enough money to live from it, and you live, for example, in Japan, in whatever you come in a social system, there is something happening. But yeah, pension is always guaranteed, also something. But if something happens and you need a social system for example, the hospital, etc., that is a little bit shogunai, but you already contributed to where you're living. And especially if people are working, living here longer than 20 years, or say 10, 15 years, I think they are already a little bit a part of Japan. So that's my opinion. People will think different word, but that is it. So that is 10 minutes about Japan. Let's talk about what this talk is about. It is about Starlink. And then not Starlink, what everybody's talking about, but my thing is about the cellular expansion model, and that was talked in two sentences by SpaceX. So the idea, what it was, and what Sockwell said and Elon Musk said, is that they will put in the dish a module, and that is like a small cell tower. So what is this? And if you want to know more about it, I'm writing a book. I'm almost finished with it. I need only 2 or 3 days to calculate all the numbers and all the impact on the finances, and what is the profitability and how much money it can make. That is the last thing I have to make. But the whole story about what it is, how it is made, what implementations are, where it can be used all over the world, and what impact is on America and on telecoms, that is already finished. So I will try to publish it as soon as possible. But the appendant of the money impact, that will come tomorrow, I think, or maybe tonight. I will finish that. Then I will publish the book and put it on call it Amazon, and it's called Cellular Exponential Model, and something with Starlink, for Starlink Cellular Expansion Model. So what is this, and what is the impact, and why is it so interesting that they said it? So the V3, it's a new generation of Starlink, will be launched beginning in 2027. So until now, to the end of the year, they will do test flight with Starship, and they already tested 20 of those satellites, and they had total, all the laser links worked. The data flow was as expected. So the 20 that they launched for test worked. So, and they of course dropped because they were in very low orbit, but concept of the satellite was tested, and it passed. The next time they will go to try to land it on the tower, and that means that they will go into space. And I hope if they go in space, they push out another 20 or maybe hope 60 full load of those satellites, and they start to throw them in. So with the 6 launches they have, they start to deploy them in space and start to test them, how they work. So that is the side of the space backbone. We call it the internet backbone. This will be they will retire the Falcon 9, chance for Neutron, Rocket Lab, and they will go focusing on now launching these new satellites with a bigger capacity. Capacity is 10 times, let's say 10 times better than a satellite for the old version. They can put 10 times more. They can launch 10 times more of them, and the launches are 10 times more. So it is maybe okay. Let's say they can, and totally the satellite is 10 times better, than the previous satellites. They can launch 10 times more, of those satellites. So there are 60 satellites. Maybe now they can do less, but every satellite is 10 times better than the previous satellite. And the cadency, now they launch every launch of a Starship is the same as 20 launches of a Falcon. So it's say for all, to make it 100 times better. So after a year of launching, they have efficiently 100 times more space Starlink capacity in space than they have in launching 1 year. So it means in 1 year they overtake the whole constellation. That is around 10,000 satellites now in space for Starlink, the V2. They will the new satellites will be better and will have more capacity as the whole thing that is now in the sky. So that is an enormous addition for Starlink and the users of it. Now, they said also they had some partnership with Japanese KDDI, SoftBank, and something else, and Australian company, telecom company. So these are for direct to phone. What is the plan? Now it goes through the dish, and it goes to telco, and the telco goes to sends it to the towers, to the cell towers, and you can use with your phone through a cell tower, and then it goes to Starlink up, or direct from a Starlink. So that is how these telecoms use it. But in the future, but the idea is that they can connect directly to this constellation. But if there are so many people, and even if you have so many satellites in this, it will always be not enough. And for rural places, for maritime, for the ships, and for airplanes, it will be okay. 1 dish or 2 dishes or the capacity. But if you go to a city like in Tokyo or like in New York, the amount of satellites you can see from one dead point is not enough to give everybody a phone connection. So how will they solve this? And the solving is that they are looking at these, not the direct connection, but the people that have a Starlink dish on their roof. And what they are thinking, they place a module under this antenna, and that it becomes like a Wi-Fi router, but then for telephones. It will become a cell module. It's called also a cellular expansion model. And if you look at the price, I think it is between, if rough guess, I think it was between $50 and $150. Say make it $200. Yeah. So the disk becomes more expensive. Yeah. But now you can connect maybe with a few phones to the antenna, and you can imagine car maybe can have a dish with they like it to have it on roofs. So that's the first idea. The idea is you build it on schools. The schools will have antenna, government buildings, high buildings, there's hotels, and other buildings that are high. Because if it is a small cellular tower, you have to be high so your phone can see it easily from the ground. So maybe hotels will get an extra price, a cheaper price to use Starlink, or schools maybe get it for free. Government buildings maybe get it also for a very low thing. And it is not to give them free internet, but to make this ability that it can be also a cellular tower. So what does that mean? If you have a city and you can place 100 antennas in that city, small antennas, on buildings and maybe just on Tesla chargers. You put a Tesla charger system there, and you put a pole there, and you put some of Starlink antennas on top of it with the cellular modules, or you have make maybe a little bit bigger cellular modules, because you can place, maybe if you have your own place, like a charging place, you can maybe place 5 or 10 of those cellular modules, so you can address more mobile phones. You can even like that maybe in a car, or in a lower thing. But if you are in a city middle, that people can communicate through the cars, and you can spread the cars all over the city. But that is, I think, not needed. So first, just look at the high places of buildings, and use that as an. So if you have a hotel, you give it for half the price or almost for free, but you place 10 cellular models under it. It's cool, do the same. You give it the internet totally for free in government, but you need the space on the roof, and you give them the free internet, but you give them maybe mobile, a good mobile membership that is maybe half the price or very cheap, as long as you can place those modules on those roofs. Because that is one of the costs for telecoms, is getting the towers there. And from the towers, they have to have fiber to go to transport this, or they sometimes use antennas, direct antennas to another tower. So they have to build a mesh network of the towers have to communicate with each other, and then they have to go to internet or to the telephone service. So they have to invest in the towers. They have to pay the rent of this place to borrow this stuff. That's all cost money. And then they have to have glass fibers to connect. That costs money. And that is how your phone bill is built up. But Elon Musk is thinking, and this whole system with Starlink is, everybody has a Starlink. Maybe you get an update, a new Starlink antenna. Everybody that has that one antenna gets a new one with a cellular module under it. And he can maybe drop the price of the hardware. He can maybe make it for free. Because if you can connect 10 phones to it, and you get a 10 phone, you can connect 10 phones with your Starlink antenna. So you pay, say, $60 for the use. I think it's $66. But if you can also use your phone with it, and other people in the neighborhood can use the phone with this antenna hardware, you can almost give for free, because it will all be paid by the people that have these contracts, these phone contracts and these internet contracts. You can even maybe do, if you have a strong Wi-Fi, or you can maybe make a free of a semi-paid Wi-Fi network, that if you walk in the city and you're in a nearby Wi-Fi antenna, you get free, or you not free, but you get paid. You can use an Wi-Fi. You can then imagine that all the restaurants and all the public places will have this antenna and will give this free Wi-Fi or semi-free Wi-Fi if you're a member. And you can do that through Starlink, and also can do that directly to your phone. So you don't need those big antennas, and those people that have now all those AT&T, Verizon, also they have an enormous cost of those cell towers. In reality, the customers that buy the antennas or to pay the subscriptions are paying for the cell towers themselves, and they are small, so they're more flexible. He can, if New York, for example, has not enough of those coverage, he can ask to place more modules, or he can try to do something that more modules are placed at specific places. So this is a total new concept for telephones. And of course, if you have robots, just imagine you have robots, these will use much more, he said also, much more data than a human. So there has to be after these internet, so the star constellations that send the internet down to Earth is nice, but if you have billions of robots and millions of cars and maybe millions of other stuff, it cannot go all to space. So if you have those dishes, or you have connection points that can reconnect again. So for example, you have there's now 10,000 satellites. Say you have 100,000 satellites in the future, but you have 100 times more receivers. That means if you have like 100,000, it's 10 million. Does it? Yeah, there's a million, 10 million. Then you have 10 million small meshwork towers. You can even take more. There's for one satellite, there's in the sky how many antennas you have. Say you have like a 10, or what I said, maybe 100. So you build not only your meshwork in the atmosphere, you build a secondary meshwork on Earth with those antennas, and also if it is really ruled, so you're somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you still have connection. You can make a direct connection to the satellite. But if you are like in a base station on the North Pole, you can of course use this direct connection. But you can also put a Starlink antenna on the base and or maybe a little bit around it, and then it gets automatically a mesh network where you can use your phone and where you can use internet. And so you don't need to make directly contact with your phone to the satellite, but the base antenna does it for you, and you're relayed through this antenna that is on the roof of the base. Or if you, for example, work in Japan, in Tokyo, you can have a connection, and the connection is not directly to the sky, directly to a satellite, but it's to an antenna that is in a restaurant, or you sit in a restaurant. It goes to the antenna that's on the roof of the restaurant, and it sends up your connection to the sky, and the people in the restaurant all can connect to that antenna. So the 10 people that are connected don't have to connect directly to the satellite. They connect to the antenna, and the antenna accumulates the traffic and sends it with one pulse to a satellite. So that's more efficient and better, and you get really a network all over the world. And this same system he can pull on Mars. He can say, okay, you make a constellation around Mars, you drop some pods all over Mars, 10 times more than your satellites, all spread nicely over, and it will be automatically covered with via internet or a communication network, because you can imagine that. That is a good idea. And so that is what my book is about. It's about cellular things, and also the finances. What is the impact on, let's look. They have for EchoStar, they have now the frequencies, and Shotwell said they will use it. So it is not that they bought it and will not use it. And these frequencies are for terrestrial, this on the Earth, use phones. Yeah. So they probably will make their own the phone or the device, but maybe not. But I said before, maybe your phone is the robot that's walk next to you. So they have a direct to direct from space to your phone, but there will be also a connection from your phone to an antenna, to a cellular module that's under the antenna. The engineering, I thought it would be more expensive, but if I look at the numbers, it is not so expensive. This module is around $1,550. So say $200, because they make, of course, the chips. They make the whole. They have already a satellite receiver and a Wi-Fi module. The only thing they have to do is to build another module on it for the frequency for your phone. So that is the only difference, and that is not so expensive that I thought. It is around, say, if you high score, say $200, maybe $300. But I think they can even maybe give this module for free, so that people will even not know that it is there, and they can make. You can imagine, instead of that, every phone has to communicate directly to a satellite. Every phone goes to first to, if it sees an antenna, it goes to an antenna, and then it communicate, and then it gets for it groups all the phones that in the neighborhood and sends it with one beam. That will be an improvement of the network. You don't have a million phones going to satellites, but maybe only there are maybe not, instead of a million, maybe only 10,000 links to a satellite. So there's a reduction of 100, or maybe a reduction of I don't know how much phones can be on one cellular module, but it will be around the small one, that I think around 7 or 8. So that even 7 or 8 means that you can connect 7 or 8 more phones per satellite. So now you can only, for example, a satellite can communicate with say 50 phones, or maybe 100 phones, and now it can communicate, if it is via an antenna, instead of 100 phones, it can go to 700 phones. That is a multiply of the capability. And I think if they make dedicated points for cellular phones with the Starlink antenna, I think it can be maybe in the hundreds. So I think we will also see that. But you see what the plan is. And is it doable? Yes, it is doable. The module is not that expensive. They have the technology in house how to make this module, and they have the factories. They build their own dishes and all the receivers, and Wi-Fi and satellite communication stuff. So they only have to add a new module and to the line, a new module that they place, or a new added circuitry that they also have a receiver and a broadcaster for phones. That's the only update they have to make on the receiver side of the antenna, and also the antenna has to be a little bit different, so it can the antenna is also usable for phones. That is maybe the biggest. I don't know if it is a problem, but it says it is not so difficult, because around the middle side of the antenna that is made for the dish for the satellite, they can make smaller antennas or smaller dishes for phones. So I think that's why they can only do 7 or whatever. So that is the whole idea. And the technology they are rocket scientists and communication satellite specialists. They already know how difficult it is. And if it is doable, it is probably doable. Because Elon Musk and Shortwell said that they were planning to build this. And I think we'll see the rollout. They already maybe have plans to update. Maybe they already have the new updated box that is under the antenna, but deactivate this circuitry. The antenna has to be changed again, so there will be new. If there is a new announcement that there will be a new disk antenna for the Starlink, probably it has the capability to connect to phone also. So there has to be a new version. I think if they're gonna build out Starlink, the new version, in 2027, and enter 2027, they expect that there is a constellation you can use. So they have a year, maybe 1.5 years, to change also the receiver, the dish that we now have now, and maybe update some of the existing ones. So they have time enough in 1.5 years, maybe 2 years time. It has to be easy to make this, and I think maybe already they have half of the workers maybe already done. So this is very doable. So it is, of course, for the urban, rural, and open terrain. And even for open terrain, I think it can reach with this simple module 5 kilometers. I think if you're in the city, it is only 500 meters. So you have to have a mesh network for 500 meters for half a kilometer. So you can imagine if you have restaurants or a shopping place, everybody, every store, every house, every highly populated place, everybody has internet or wants internet. Now, the only thing they have to do is to get their foot in there with the discs, the antennas, the SpaceX, the Starlink antennas. That will be maybe a problem because you have to have a view to the sky, and it's not always possible. But if they have special modules like on schools or on public, maybe on restaurants or on hotels that are stronger than the normal ones they ship, they can cover maybe cities also. And I think it's just an adding to the business. So they don't have to change anything to the satellites. They only have to change an extra module to something that they're already making. And that is only $100 to $200 more expensive. And it will pay back itself very easily because the uplinks are less. You can reduce it at least with 7 times, and I think maybe more. So it is only an optimization of their network on Earth to communicate with space. And it will earn itself back, this $200. So, and if they can get also more subscriptions for phone users that they can do then directly, they don't need a SoftBank or a Verizon or a Telstar, whatever. They can do directly to the customer. They can have a Tesla phone contract. And if they are out of reach in the city, they can use maybe a SoftBank or a real existing one. But if they are in the countryside, in direct to satellite, they can use their own system. And if they are near an antenna, they use their own system. But if there is something that they cannot make a connection, they can always fall back to a normal phone provider. So now it is opposite side. Now the phone companies used Starlink if they are out of reach, and I think it will be the other way around. That is, Starlink will use phone suppliers if it is too crowded or they cannot provide all the phones. So that is probably what is going to happen. Security is good. They will have to do cooling and the cooling problem because it is more heat with the phone component into your receiver. Security has to be a problem, so it will be a law and regulation of the countries and for what you are doing. Then they have to look at the materials and sales, the pricing strategy, how to sell it, how to free install it, the revenue sharing. So these are all things you have to do. The customers in reality build the network. And then you try to find tenants like school, businesses, and emergency systems. You can imagine fireplace, your local city offices, maybe some electricity poles. In Japan, you have all those poles for the electricity. What if you can do with some poles that you can place a Starlink on top of it? Maybe that is also an idea. So they have to find some tenants that maybe they have to rent some space, but it will be not in highly populated places. Carriers, they have to make a new contract for AT&T, Mobile, and other things. There are satellite rivals for Space Mobile, Amazon, and Leon Constitution. Those will be behind, I think. Regulation for spectrums and battles of who's going to get which frequency. So that will be something in the future. Deployment will be okay. And yeah, that's it. So I think this is a very nice opportunity for Tesla, and it will make the profitability and efficiency of Starlinks better and the income also better. And maybe it can increase the income with some factors. Now all the income of SpaceX are mainly from AI, and I think this can maybe 10 times. Let's do very positive, maybe 10 times, or if you're normal 5 times, increase the amount of money they now earn with Starlink. They can maybe, if they really push the phone out, I think they will make 5 times, maybe 10 times more money. Of course, they will get bigger market. Maybe it will be 100 times. I don't know. I'm still calculating the numbers. That's my last piece of it. But I think it will be around 20 times more, because now they don't have phones. So if you add more phone users, that will be less money than internet, I think. And you add more the optimization of this whole system. It will cost a little bit more money because they're newer satellites, but they have more capacity. So the efficiency will go up. So maybe they can even lower. They will lower the price so that the network grows faster. And if it grows faster, or more users, so they have to look. If we lower the price, we have more users, and there's more income. The profit per user becomes smaller, but if your amount of users doubles, you can halve the price. You get still the same profit. So those things has to be all calculated, and I think they need this money, of course, for the whole space launching system, etc. So I think they will be over time becoming more and more profitable as they can get the satellite system in space more efficient, and on the ground these antenna cell modules get more efficient and they can capture more market from the telecoms and from internet. There are a lot of places to expand. They only have 10% of the air. They are not. Maritime is also coming, and maybe also for cars will be coming, and robots. So I think bright future for Starlink. And I will talk a little bit later if I publish the book. That will be a few days, and then I have more numbers. See you. This is the end, and see you later.